Well, look what we got here. So what I've done is I've kind of shaped the roots. I've bent them. Whoa, look out! Crash-ola! Yeah, like that even hurt that. I've taken the roots and I've shaped them to where they kind of fit this rock. I picked this rock out. I kind of like that one. Kind of goes with it. Okay, I've shaped it to where the roots kind of grab onto the outside of the rock. That. What I'm going to do now is mark it. Kind of mark my rock where the trunk is, because that's where I'm going to put the epoxy. It's going to be directly underneath the trunk. So I'm going to mark it, and everything that I'm marking here will be covered by epoxy. And then I will take a different kind of epoxy and put the little trunk cover rock on top of it. Okay. So we've marked it. We have marked that. I'm going to fill it in. So that whole area right there is going to be filled with epoxy. Set that down. And here's the epoxy we're using. This is Loctite. Can you see it? There we go. Loctite 39917. It's a quick set steel putty. I'm going to take 2 plastic spoons, and for this one, this stuff is by volume. I'm going to scrape some of the skin off the top. Let's say half a spoonful of the hardener. And this stuff stinks. Oh my gosh, does it reek. And half a spoonful. What is this? The resin. Resin hardener. I'm going to take one of these shish kebab sticks, break it in half, use half of it on this one, half of it on the other epoxy that I'm going to be using. You don't want to mix the epoxies inside the reason I use two spoons is you don't want to dig out of one, dump it on the paper plate, and then dig out of the other one with the same spoon, because there'll be just a little bit left over and you'll end up contaminating one of your containers of epoxy. I just scrape all I can off of this spoon, put it on the paper plate, and I scrape everything out of this spoon onto the paper plate. There we go. Now we have a wad of epoxy. Stir it up, and it should turn kind of a dark gray. It won't be all the way black. We'll see it here pretty quick what it ends up looking like. And this stuff sets up relatively quick. But that's the color it turns, kind of a dark gray color. I'm going to scoop it off of there and plop it right on my rock. Get it to stand up a little bit, kind of like a little DQ. Okay. Nice and standing up. And we're just going to plop this thing right down on it. There we go. Now then the other one that I saved, I'm going to use it scrape some out of where it's squirting out and put it into where it's needed over here. I've got a kind of a gaping hole on the back. Put that in there. I'm going to push it down into the roots and get it right up underneath. It doesn't need to be sticking up tall. You want it to be flush with the rock and kind of be like a smooth fillet between the rock and the roots. And since you do have about 10 minutes to work with this, when it starts getting a little bit firmer, setting up a little bit more, you can take an X-Acto knife and kind of carve the big chunks off. But be warned, after that 15 minutes, this stuff dries rock hard and you will break your X-Acto trying to alter the shape of your epoxy putty. Let's see what we got here. Yep, oop, it moved. There we go. Got it mashed down, getting tight there. And try not to get this stuff on your hands. And definitely don't get it in your eyes. Don't let the dogs or kids eat it. This is some... You'll know why. Once this stuff sets up, you will swear by it. Man, your car gets broken in half, you wreck it, take this stuff, glue it back together. Duct tape has nothing on this stuff. Yep, it's already, I don't know if you can see it over here on this paper plate, but it's already starting to get kind of hard. It's getting rough to work with. And it does depend on your temperature outside. I think this stuff works best between 70 and 75 degrees. And right now it's 85 out. So it's probably going to take just a little bit longer to set up. I don't know. It's not moving there anymore. Yep, when it starts to go, it stays in a kind of a ductile state just long enough, and then it turns hard. What do they call that? Eutectic. Just all of a sudden, solidifies. Okay, I kind of made a mess back here on the back side. I'm going to see if I can take my X-Acto knife. Yeah, it's still... I can cut it with the X-Acto knife still. I'm going to kind of try to clean up the rock too. I kind of overdid it there. But when I go back to do my root cover with little rocks, I'll just go ahead and paint up a little bit higher on this. Pushed it back in there. Get some of this cleaned off. You notice that I'm wiping this stuff off on a towel that I have laying here on the desk. If this stuff sticks to the desk, you have to come out here with a grinder to get this stuff off. So the towel's basically ruined. where I've been wiping it off on the towel. I'm just cleaning off a little bit of the rock where I overspread the stuff. I've only got a couple of minutes to do this because, like I said, when it sets up, there's no getting it off. A good example is here in about 20 minutes, this rock is probably a 5-pound rock, and I only have about that much actually holding this to the rock, that much surface area. I'll be able to pick this rock up by the trunk of this without a problem at all. Okay, so much for that. Now the cover rocks that we're going to use to cover the trunk area here. I'm going to move this hose clamp up a little bit if I can. Oh, that's not good. Oof, got that just in time. Okay. Now I've exposed my roots a little bit. Move the hose clamp. Oh, that's an icky piece I left up here. Gotta get that off somehow. So I don't want to go that high up with my cover rocks. And the cover rocks, all they're for basically is just to cover up the epoxy that's showing down here. And the way we do that is I've got a piece of metal and a hammer and a set of safety glasses, and I go out in the backyard and take a similar colored rock, like this is the white quartz rock. I'll get another piece of white quartz and I'll take it out in the backyard with a hammer and smash it into little pieces. So I end up with a whole bunch of little pieces. Those are kind of dark. I can see that. Here's one that's lighter. Basically, it'll end up kind of like that, just little light sandy rocks. And I'll mix up a different kind of epoxy and put these rocks all over this epoxy right here. This is almost dry, but you can see the way I did it there. I just glued it on with that epoxy. I'm going to go ahead and I have to smash up some more little white quartz rocks. You don't really want to see me do that. So, because really all I'm doing is taking a hammer and an anvil that I have out in the backyard, and my anvil's just another piece of steel. Putting those little white quartz rocks on it, which will be probably some of these, and smashing them. So I'll be adding to this. You'll see that here in a minute. And when you do that, make sure you sweep your whole porch off. Then do the smashing of your little rocks. As a matter of fact, hold on a second. I'll go ahead and show you this. Okay, we're going to get our hammer. I'm going to sweep this up real good because when we come back, get our little pieces of rock, we don't want to get a bunch of dirt in there with it. There's our little anvil. There's our little hammer. Be right back. Okay, what we have here is one little white rock, and this is going to end up being my cover rock. Oh, notice I have a face shield because this can get downright crazy. I'll go ahead and start one of these. Watch out, wild dog. Got busy. You see what I end up with, a little pile of white rocks. And you want to make sure you get all these rocks because they are sharp. So, see what we ended up with? Ended up with a bunch of little white rocks. Okay, be right back. Okay, what we have here is another epoxy product. This is the, it's like the 15-minute quick set. It's a two-part. What I'm going to do is mix it up on this paper plate. This is the one that this stuff's hard as a rock now. There's no moving that. So I'm going to mix this up. Then I'm going to spread it with one of these little miniature paint brushes. I'm going to spread it on to where I want the rocks to stick. And then I'm going to hold this thing over the paper plate, sprinkle the rocks into the sticky epoxy, and then pick the rocks back up and keep sprinkling them on until I have a pretty good coverage on my base of my trunk. So here we go. And since I've got a pretty big area to cover, I'm going to squirt a whole bunch of that epoxy out there. I think I'm going to need quite a bit of it. Got another one of my little sticks. And this stuff is clear. So once you paint it on and then the rocks stick to it, it's not going to be dark like the other. This stuff also takes about 10-15 minutes to set up to where you can't work with it anymore. Now then, I'll start painting it on right where I want the rocks to stick. Up in there. There. See, it's only been 30 minutes since we glued this tree to the rock, and there's pretty much no give between the tree and the rock. That's a big area right there. That's going to take some covering up, that big dark spot. But that's what this epoxy does. Makes a little rock stick to it, and thereby concealing all that other stuff. Okay, now just sprinkle the rocks on. I got some big chunks on there. You can hear the rocks falling off on the other side. They aren't completely stuck. And you can do this in more than one coat. If there's a spot that doesn't get coated, you just mix up some more epoxy. Sprinkle some more rocks in there. Kind of mash it in. Whoops. That's why we put the paper plate under, so we can do some really quick recycling if we have to. See, that big spot didn't really get covered good. We might have to put another coat on this one. But you can see how it covered that up. That was a big black spot right in here. And we covered it up with the little rocks. And we'll go around and I'll go ahead and mix up some more epoxy, spread it on there. There's a big old glob, big goober. And of course, after we do this, we're going to polyurethane the rock and get it all nice and shiny also. So let me go ahead and do that. You guys take a break, and I'll be right back. Okay, that pretty much does that for the covering up of the roots. I'll go ahead and take this lower hose clamp off for now, because now that this thing is glued to the rock, there shouldn't be too much more stress on the bottom of it. We still might, ouch, be doing a little bit of bending on the top half to kind of straighten things out a little bit. Sometimes this is the worst part, getting these hose clamps to let loose. Come on, you can let go. Let go. Let my people go. Heck with my people. Let me go. I'll come back for them. Okay. It's gonna be a... There we go. Oh, that hurts the fingers. Okay. But of course, like I said, this is what we've done. We've covered up a bunch of the roots with little chunks of rocks. I'm going to scrape some of those off to expose the roots a little bit. Not too much. Really, the roots in real life aren't that exposed. They aren't as exposed as these are. But this kind of gives it that look. Bent over there. And the other statement I made, that we would be able to pick up this, it's been, it might have been 30 minutes now, but I could pick up the rock by the trunk. That is some, Loctite makes some darn good epoxy. You see her first. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and leave that like that. We did bend up a couple of the branches doing that. But like anything else, if you don't hurry up and give one of these things away after you make it, it sits around in your house. Every day you walk by it, you're going to be tweaking on these little limbs, moving them around. Anyway, I'm going to go get the urethane, and I'll be right back. And we'll go ahead and lay down a couple of coats of urethane on this thing. Be right back. Okay, we've got our urethane, and what I'm using is the Minwax Fast Drying Polyurethane Superior Durability. And the second thing we need. You gotta have an old copy of the Enquirer or the Globe. This one's the Globe. Connie goes berserk. Maury's romp with transvestites. Oh my gosh. Maury, you dog. Okay. There's really not too much in the way of precision going on here either. Got our big thing of urethane. I'm going to get over here. And paintbrush, this is just a flux brush. These are really cheap. I get a whole box of them for $1.50. And I just slop it on. Starting at the top. Letting it work down through the roots, base of the trunk. Basically just drips on down. The reason I let it drip up here at the top is all those little rocks that I just glued on. I don't want them, I don't want to really brush them off. So I just kind of blot those. By the way, I did wash this rock before I glued the tree to it. It's amazing that something that's out in nature, just a dirty old rock, you wash it, take some soap and water to it, turns out to be a pretty darn pretty rock. Uh-oh. Watch this dog. See, we're just plopping it on. And if later on some of the epoxy is showing through up here in our root system that we don't really like, we'll just come along with more of this polyurethane and do the same thing we did with the epoxy. Just kind of dribble some polyurethane on. Take some of your smashed up rock and apply it to your polyurethane. It'll stick just fine. I used to use a spray polyurethane, but it left bubbles when I was done. I'd have little bubbles all over the place. Plus I can be sloppier with this. When I was spraying, I'd end up with spray all over the table, spray on everything, spray on my fingers. I'd make a huge mess. Now it's all contained right here on the globe. Right on poor Connie Chung. Poor Connie. When was this? February of 2002? She's probably already sued these people and made a whole bunch of money on it.